My truck might be overloaded.
Get back a little. Get back a little.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alex Wu. I'm a plant pathologist. I want to emphasize I'm an extension plant pathologist. Actually, we got a message yesterday from, yes. So we're from, the interim extension director, Ed Martin. It says, we need to, says we represent the cooperative extension side of University of Arizona. So most of the content brought to you today by, cooperative extension specialists and agents. So anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the plant diseases. So in the last 3 or 4 years, and so I have been seeing quite a few cotton diseases. So in the handout that I passed out is a summary of some of the diseases. It's not all of them, but most of them. So as many of you already know, most of you probably deal with cotton root rot. That's our #1, disease issue here. But from year to year, there's some, emerging diseases or some old diseases re-emerging. For example, last year we have some, verticillium problem, and actually there's a couple of fields in Coolidge have verticillium issue, and also in Graham County. And this year, early season, we got a few call about cotton seedling diseases in Graham County. It turns out, the seedling disease issue have something to do with seed quality. Yeah. So in the handout, the first is all about the seedling diseases, and it's a minor issue here in the state, but from year to year, we do see some field have this problem, mostly associated with, you plant at bad weather condition, you have poor wet condition, and the soil temperature is below 65 Fahrenheit. Exactly. So anything, in some spring, if any, temperature below, 65 or any factor can slow down the germination of the seed or emergence of seed from the ground. That will actually increase the risk. So I think the nice thing about this extension publication is, I want to point out, so most of our seed already treated. And if you have, a field have issue, here has a table containing all the active ingredients. You can choose to either treat your seeds or do an in part application. This is very important. And it depends on, first of all, I think it's very important to get, get a sample, get, the pathogen identified. That's very important because most of those fungicide treatment here, really, as you can see, some of them are very broad spectrum, some of them are very specific mode of action. So it's very important to figure out, what pathogen, either PCM or Rhizobacteria or Fusarium or Civiopsis, causes the problem. And then, maybe you can apply this, select this fungicide to do a treatment, So the next disease is about a Fusarium wilt. And, in the state of Arizona, we even don't, in the old days, even no Fusarium wilt, and, but as many of you already know, there's a very aggressive strain of the FOVA called the risk-4, has been causing problem in California, in Texas, Western Texas, and also it is discovered in New Mexico. And so we are, collecting a sample, trying to detect this risk-4 here in Arizona, so, to keep it from the spread, So in the last 2 years, we were able to identify the Fusarium wilt in a couple of fields, and so this publication is based on that. There's a field actually in Graham County, and actually this Fusarium wilt actually will cause wilting and yellowing, and eventually kill your cotton plant. And in this case, it's caused by a different risk other than risk 4. So this year we're continuing, doing, collect more sample, continue to monitor this risk 4 here in our, in the cotton field in the state of Arizona. If any of you, have any field, have wilting plant, yellowing plant, like shown in this picture, let me know. And I would like to make a, field visit, collect sample and then do the testing for FOV risk 4. So the other emerging cotton diseases to keep in mind is the the cotton leaf roll dwarf virus. It is showing up in southeast part of United States, and it was being detected in Western Texas, and I'm not sure whether it's detected in New Mexico, the cotton blue diseases. Probably not yet. Yeah, it's in Western Texas, so that's something is emerging, and so other than that, we have some other diseases. For example, the cotton stem blight and the ball rot, and this is very rare, not very common. And if you have a cotton field, grow beans, pinto beans, you grow, grow alfalfa. Actually, sorry, not the alfalfa. In this case, it's Scrotina. Like if you grow, yeah, some. Oh, sorry. Okay, better. Okay, so even alfalfa and some other crop, and you may get the Scrotina build up in your cotton field. In that case, and you may get this Scrotina sclerotium problem. It can cause the ball rot, and also you will see stem blight. It's have like the bleaching symptom, and you will see a lot of fluffy mycelium, and also see this black sclerotia, on the stem fall to the ground. And it's not very common. It's very rare diseases, So a lot of diseases to be aware is this Alternaria leaf spot, and well, it's not really caused a big problem here, and but in certain year and when conditions are very conducive to this disease, and you may got this Alternaria, it can really defoliate your cotton plant. Normally it started like late in the growing season, and so at the time when the disease start taking off, it may, since it start late, it won't cause any yield reduction, but in certain year, it may come, in early. And so if it's coming early, it may, cause problem of Alternaria. And I think 2 years ago in Graham County, and there's a couple failed on some, not all variety are very susceptible. Pima cotton are very susceptible, and it may cause, as you see in the picture, it causes a lot of defoliation, issue. So another disease, as I mentioned, is the verticillium wilt, and that's something to keep in mind. They can be easily confused with the Fusarium wilt, and it basically causes the wilting, yellowing. But verticillium wilt is more kind of scattered around the field. The Fusarium wilt is more like coming in a patch, a spot. But in terms of the there's a couple of features you can use to differentiate verticillium wilt versus fusarium wilt. You do the stem cross section, you look at the string pattern, and the fusarium wilt mostly will be continuous and rounding, and verticillium is more like streaking, So, but this kind of can be subtle, So, if you have any field, have many plants have the symptom, let me run it low, and we can collect sample and get it tested. So today, my main message is to get, to let you be aware of this, especially, the fusarium wilt of risk 4, it's still a concern. We have not detected risk 4 here in the state, but it is a concern, Right. Right. So the first year, 2018, when we did that, we have about a little bit over 120, and then 2019, it's a little bit less, about 100, and then 2020, last year, it's even fewer. 2020, it's about maybe 60 samples.
So are you just randomly taking them, or based on?
Right. So last year, it's pretty much based on, either the grower report a problem or Randy spotted a, field has issue. The first year, we did it with the help of the field crew from the, Arizona Cotton Research and Protection Council. They help us really collect a lot of sample across the state, And so in the last 2 years, it's more like focus, I would say, as like any new diseases or emerging diseases, and it's very hard to detect early, really. You have to scout a lot of field in order to, and to identify, the initial hotspot. And I think that's why I want to get a message here. I really rely on the, pest control advisor, augurs, and you look at your problem every day, and where the problem are. If you see a problem, you have to let us know. And we will be able to go out to get it identified. That's very important. Just rely on myself, and I do go out to look at the field. But it's just once a week, and every time I just randomly. And actually, I come to this area early this year to looking for actually strep rust of the on durum wheat or barley, and I stopped west of the Buckeye, and actually instead of finding this yellow rust, I found the other, like the loose smart, quite a few field here, loose smart on wheat, And also I found the what else? Some leaf blight, and but I didn't find any yellow rust on this did. But sometimes if I go out with University of Arizona state truck, and if I don't let grower know, maybe they thought I'm not the person supposed to stop that field. I have one kid, one gentleman follow me along.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I've seen some research recently, kind of much like insect populations, that fungi populations can be very variable as well. There may be some that are predaceous and some that are not.
Right.
And matter of fact, that there may be some conditions that you can change that you might encourage the good guys to upgrade that. It's a whole new deal, I guess. People haven't paid that much attention to it, because I know I have.
Right.
The things that we can do to help our position.
Right.
I mean, the research is emerging, we're going to depend on somebody like you to figure that out.
Right. 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 I think that's a very good point. And so far, my research on cotton diseases are more focused on disease identification part, not instead of a treatment part. But just give an example, like the top guard tear used to control the cotton root rot diseases. And the active ingredient, the flutriafol, is a very broad spectrum fungicide. And yes, like in pecan orchard, this farmer said we nuke our orchard. Basically, you kill all the beneficial also microbes in the soil. And in that case, in pecan orchard, they trying to inoculate some of the like beneficial microbe like mycorrhiza fungi back after the top guard. In that case, they use ram fungicide, same active ingredient. That's a good point. Yes, yeah. Right.
We know on the label, like they said you have no resilience.
Right.
But sometimes you can see some fact that we might put, like attribute to it.
Right. Right. Well, based on what I read from literature, yes, the flutriafol actually have very long residual effect. It can, persist in soil for quite long time. I don't know what kind of soil condition will induce the faster degradation of that product, but it can persist in the soil for a long time.
Do you think the high pH our soil contributes to the much?
I don't have that information. I have not done research on that part, but it's possible, I would say. Yeah. But
it's about the result or what we can contribute to as a residual impact or effect of flutriafol. We can see that here in our area most of the time. I have some areas that I think is very well, and we cannot see anything like that. But our colleague, like that, is maybe in some other areas, you don't see that. So I was wondering if that contribution of that condition of our soil really higher pH or other factors.
Right. Yeah, that's something definitely deserve a research, project to figure that out. But I would say, if you have a long residual effect and another risk associated with maybe, some of those fungus may develop tolerance to this product, and like the antibiotic resistance, if you overuse a certain product, eventually the microbe will adapt and they will develop resistance to it, even for the cotton root rot fungus, nobody have to take a look at it, because it's very difficult to isolate the cotton root rot fungus from the cotton plant or from the pecan roots. And then you can evaluate the, resistance to that product. That's why so far very few research has been done on this. I mean, that's definitely something we need to keep an eye on, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Finally, we'll have Manfandi. He will discuss with us some of the biology, resistance, and management of pulmonary.